Welcome to Wingnuts, the home of micro maintenance, and this is season 2, episode 4, and this is an awesome special one. Stay tuned for some awesome installs. This week we are installing an awesome Trig Avionics system into a Eurostar EV97. This is an aircraft that came to us last week, and we gave him some great advice on what install that he was looking after. We were looking a little bit tricky. We wanted the head units and the base units to be all nice and compact, and so we went ahead and fitted this awesome Trig system into his Eurostar.
So we're fitting a Trig radio, Trig transponder. We're also doing a pilot aware Rosetta with external aerials. But other things, that he's got a mag fault, which we'll have a look at whilst we're under the lid.
What did you just say, Shelley?
Mags could be electrical. It could just be a switch. And if it is more than that, then we'll hand it over to Smithy. So the first thing we need to do is dog and rabbit. Let's get some good access to the plane. Let's get the aircraft prepped. And we can work out. I mean, the beauty with these is they're factory built. So we're not walking into a nightmare wiring scenario. Right. It should be nice, it should be. Because I haven't looked at it.
No.
It should be quite straightforward. It should be run very nicely. It shouldn't be an issue. So we'll take a look at it first of all, and we'll go through the mock-up where we're going to be running power from and where we're going to be placing the units, and, you know, like I say, work out where everything's going.
Now, it's no secret that we are big fans of Trig Avionics. Here at Micro Maintenance, we only like to sell products that we actually endorse, and we can't recommend the Trig systems enough. Here we have the Trig transponder and the Trig 8.33 radio. Fantastic bits of kit, and what I thought I would do first of all is just do a very quick unboxing so that you can see what you get for your money. Okay, so let's take a look first of all at what you do get. We're also going to look at some of the other items that you will also need. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the Trig transponder. It comes in a box just like this one, and if we can open it up here. First of all, we get our installation kit. This is a standard installation kit, comes with a static port, varying connections and terminals there should you be making up your own looms, and other parts that are there. You also get your aerial connector as well, which is very useful. You get your certificate of release, which is also useful. You get a template if you were looking to use the compact style. You have an operating manual and also an install manual. When you do fit these, you will need to add this into your paperwork and this into your pilot operating handbook, so keep hold of these. And what do we actually get the goodies wise? What have we spent our hard-earned cash on? It genuinely excites me every time I open these. So here we have, first of all, the base unit, and the base unit, it's nice and light, it feels solidly made. They're the connections that we need. Everything goes straight into this D-sub and the aerial. You also get this nice avionics tray, which is a very solid lock, and this removes so that you can fix this to your airframe or avionics tray. It means that should you need to do any firmware updates, it's very simple. You can take the entire unit out and then slot it back in and lock it in place. Very, very simple. A stunning unit, very well made. This is the bit that you see, and this is why we particularly like Trig. Take a look at that. Really compact little unit there. And multifunction buttons are all there that you need. Very nice soft keys. There's your splash screen that's on there. Very simple D-sub, and this will be your static port. You can connect that straight into your static line, or remove the cap so that you can get cockpit static pressure depending on the aircraft which you're installing it in. But let me just show you the difference between this and another make. I don't want to name the other brand that we're using, but this is a traditional style panel mount. It comes with 4 screws, and in effect, if you were to put these in front of each other, I'm sure they would be the same. But for me, all of that weight now is resting, and there's quite a bit of weight in these units. I mean, even the Trig, there is weight in there. I would really struggle to squeeze this into a flex wing Microlight. Some of the smaller installs where you've got smaller cockpits, say like a Sky Ranger Ninja, you are limited on space. The C42, you know, trying to crowbar anything in there can be really, really tight. With this, you're not just limited on where it can actually physically fit, but also, like I say, you've got a lot of weight there that's acting down, not just on how it's going to be, but certainly with my inspector cap on, when that's going through the forces of flight, yeah, it can really sort of put Microlight dashboards really through the paces. Comparing that to this, I can pretty much stick that anywhere I want it. We've made some custom head units, some custom panels that we can pop these in. Very easy in most places on the back of a flex wing. Absolutely stunning.
We've got access, and clearly you've already run through what the elements are going in. So what's the next stage for installing?
Well, I mean, for us, what we're going to do is just give it a first initial clean, because it's a lot easier to do it now. We are going to need to take out, because the Trig radio comes with its own intercom, it means we can remove the old intercom, so that's going to come out. It also means that we've then got a power supply that we can possibly use. So really we're gonna see what we've got, see what we'd like, and see how we can marry up the two. But it's very pleasing. It's very pleasing. It makes life a lot easier. So yeah, what we're going to do is do mock-up. Not going to make any permanent or hard fixings. Get placements right, positioning right. Make sure we can run cables where we need to. Make sure we've got good power, good earth, and that the front end will look as well and practical as the back end, so that in the terms of practicality, when the pilot's flying, that he can reach the radio, he can read the screens, you know, he can easily switch over, and again, that the headphone jacks are in a usable place. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, feels weird being on the other end of this camera for a bit.
Oh, how the tables have turned.
So we've made an avionics tray with all the elements. So we've got the transponder, the Rosetta, and the radio box. But also we're trying to make sure that there's some future proofing for later on if we want to add anything. It's got anti-vibration mounts underneath, and also got the power supply, which has all been riveted on, so we can hopefully make sure all the power lines flow with the other power needs of the aircraft.
Do you have it closer to that one, or do you have it further away? I think they're further away, really. So you've got good separation there. I mean, it's all a bit different, to be honest. You know, those aren't actually in line either.
Yeah.
That's sort of over a touch, and then you've got different spacings there. So it's one of those, I think, that if it looks right, it is right.
So the radio system, this is an 8.33 radio as well. So this comes in a very, very similar box. Just open that up there. Again, it comes with its install kits and varying aerial connectors that are there. Certificates of conformity, panel, again, operating and installation manuals, don't lose those. And again, if you look at the radio unit itself, pretty much identical to the transponder unit, comes with the same D-sub, aerial connector, and the removable avionics tray. Again, everything's been designed to be really, really light. Great machinery in there. Heat plates on the back. Again, very easy. Nice and light. And the head unit, just like the transponder, Very, very simple. Multifunction controls, very easy to use with gloves on. Soft touch keys, which feel very reassuring. Great splash screen over there as well. And on the back again, just a simple connection. We genuinely like these. We've been fitting these for a number of years and been recommending them to certainly our customers way before we became dealers. So genuinely it was a pleasure to now be selling these on behalf of Trig. A stunning piece of kit. I don't think you can get better. Not only is their products very, very good, but their after sales and their support network are fantastic.
A frightening morning.
So we're getting excited.
A very
aren't we?
frightening morning. I can't tell you how relaxed I am now. Now that the Trig unit's fit.
And you know it's not Friday, don't you?
Oh yeah. Why am I so relaxed when it's not Friday? So yeah, these things took quite a while to mark up and check, double check and triple check, because obviously customer's dashboard, you don't want to make a complete and utter mess of it. So yes, it's all gone swimmingly this morning, and we're just putting the final screws in, having drilled them and countersunk them so that the countersink screws are nice and flush. Happy days.
So what's in here now? You've got a pilot aware Rosetta,
Yeah.
with its two systems, a transponder unit and a radio comms unit. We're also fusing it up to a switch.
Yeah, so I mean, we normally would put, obviously we would fuse it depending on what's going on with the system. And we would run separate fuses. I think someone commented on one of our previous videos saying, oh, why don't you fuse it? We do separately fuse it. But on this particular install, with us having an avionics tray, it meant that we could put in a really nice fuse system that's here. And it means that, like I say, you know, we can make sure that the correct fuse for the correct unit is in there. So we've got a nice switch that's gone in as an avionics switch, and like I say, we've got separate fuses for varying different things. But it's been nice working on the build and working on how we're going to go and install things for the end user. So as an example, you know, we could put a iPad or tablet power supply into here, and there's a grommet which the old radio used to go through, so we just splice a little hole in there. So again, it just makes for a nice simple install. We've put the audio in again, so rather than having something on the dash, the pilot aware can just plug into that now and it would be no issue, or you could connect it straight up to a tablet.
But you've not just worked on this side. There's a few novelty bits on the other side, isn't there?
A lot gone on the inside. Well, we're going to of course you're limited on.
So that's the avionics switch.
Yeah, I actually knew that would power up the entire system.
Okay.
Obviously, as standard with a lot of Eurostars, they came with the Lynx intercom system, which obviously when you put a Trig system in, you don't need. There's a lot more control on a Trig system. I'll go through with that when we're at that point. And so just, you know, how do you get around leaving a great big hole in the place and then so we obviously went to cover the hole up and also support the new panel jacks that have gone in there. But
And there's one this side as well.
yeah, it's little things like, did we paint them? Well, if you try and get your jack in, then sooner or later you're going to be scratching the paint. So we decided to polish them so that they're not just rough metal, you know, so it's a nice finish on there. Been a bit tricky getting the aerials, so you can see the pilot aware aerials at this side. I'd seen a previous pilot aware aerial install, so I've pretty much copied that, so thanks Nathan. And we put the ATC, the transponder aerial on the other side, so the hardest bit with installs like this is just, it is always cable running and putting them in the right place, and trying our hardest to keep the inspector happy. So anyway, I'm happy with the job. We're going to start putting the plane back, get the interior in, power up, make sure we've got everything.
Okay, so in part of your install kit for either the transponder or the radio, you do get these D-subs. So you get the little pin connectors there, and you get your connections, and you could, should you have the right set of crimpers, be able to make up your own custom looms. We've made them in the past, and they can be a little bit time consuming, and you're always doubting on whether you've actually made the right connection. We have just switched over to using the Trig pre-made up looms, and this is one for the transponder, and they come in 2 sizes, so you can get them where they are 1 meter long or 3 meter long, depending on the install. Now this is what helps the base unit to talk to the head unit, and should there be any other connections there. So these come pre-made up. On the transponder one, it comes already with the power and the earth, so that's all you need to feed, literally making this install a plug and play operation, which makes life very, very easy. More importantly, these come with a Trig warranty, so should you have any issues, give Trig a call and they will sort you out. The radio loom is quite good as well. We're big fans of this. Now, depending on how well you like soldering or how well you like cabling, there are lots and lots of cables involved in a radio loom. The radio system can also act as an intercom, which is absolutely fantastic because it's one less piece of kit that you need to buy. But again, these are come already made up. There are lots of other external things you can use, like the speakers or aux in, step keys, transfer keys, PTTs. So yeah, lots going on there. You can sit there and make these looms up. I've done them in the past, and for our custom installs, we might do them in the future. But again, these Trig looms are worth their weight in gold. We've already gone ahead and installed the Trig head units. So the installation, as far as we're concerned, is complete on this side. We've already set up the radio and the transponder, but what I wanted to do, we had a comment on one of our videos about not seeing the setup, so I thought let's go quickly through the setup. So first of all, if you want to stick your head in the cockpit, we have set up an Avionics master switch here. So we'll turn on the battery master first of all, and then we turn on the Avionics master, making sure everything's off. First of all, we'll have a look at the transponder, because that's very, very easy. So first of all, if I can see that there, this will just turn on and we'll go straight into the splash screen on standby. That's where you're going to get your firmware updates. It will also then come up on with the squawk code. When you initially turn it on for the first time, it will come up with a separate menu. So I'll show you how to get into that if you lose that setting or need to get back into it. So from the off position, you need to hold in the function button. So you have 3 soft keys here, the ident button, the VFR button and the function. Holding in the function button, turning on the power to standby. It'll go through the splash screen with the firmware. And then this is what you'll get on first initial setup. So if I can show you that there, it says setup and test mode, press enter to proceed. So we're going to press enter there to proceed. The first thing it gives you is your VFR flight ID. So this is where you would put in the aircraft's registration or identifying code. Wouldn't you very easily use the rotary pot on this side to set for the right figures? Once you're happy with them, you're entering those through. The next thing it's going to come through to is your mode S address. Now this is your hex code. So on this particular scenario, you would pop yourself, if you didn't know it, because I can't say that I remember any of mine, but you would pop yourself onto G-Info, put in your aircraft's registration, and it will give you your ICAO code. You're looking specifically for the hex code, which is a 6-digit number and some letters. So you would then go through the rotary pots in there to select the right numbers. Again, using the easy to use dial there, you would rotate that around, selecting each number as you go through. Very, very easy. The next thing is setting up the VFR soft key. So in the UK, obviously, we're using 7,000. I think in the States it's 1,200. So this is what you're programming the VFR button. So at some point during flight, you may be on being given a squawk code, and then as you're leaving your basic or traffic service, they will ask you to squawk 7,000. I like this because you can just reach across and with one touch of a button, flick the aircraft back over to 7,000. That makes life very, very easy. So we're going to leave that on 7,000. Next thing along is where we can select the standard airspeed, or what we are likely to travel. So now we're looking at the information we're going to be giving to air traffic control. This aircraft is between 75 and 150. If I rotate that, that's 150 to 300. We're definitely not that, so we can leave that there. This is where you then can the next select aircraft category. So there are a number of categories in here, and you find the one that's most useful to you, whether you think you're a parachutist or a lighter than air aircraft, glider, sailplane. This, for me, the best description is a light fixed wing. So enter that in there. You then have a squat switch setting. So if you do enable the squat, easy for me to say, the squat switch type, this is where you would set that. Again, very unlikely that you would fit that on a Microlight unless you were being particularly tricky. That's not important to us because that's in the States. That's the TIS output. We can then also select the GPS source. So should we have gone the whole hog and installed a TN72 into this aircraft, this is where we would enter the sub-menu in there so that we could recognize which GPS unit the transponder was using, and then you'd go through that. We'll cover that on another video, I'm sure. So there's none selected on there. This is where we get the voltage that's being supplied to the head unit, which is correct. Let's move that over. And then this is where we can go into calibrate encoder. I'm just going to click on yes for this, because this is where you would be calibrating what your transponder is saying to what your altimeter is saying. Now, you are allowed a discrepancy on these of 125 feet. We had a small issue, this aircraft came in with a small issue on the altimeter, which we were able to resolve, but when these come from the factory, they are calibrated, and so we're going to assume, and I'm with a 99.9% accuracy sure, that the altitude that the transponder is currently saying is the one that's actually correct, as opposed to the altimeter, which we believe does have a fault on it. Anyway, they aren't within within that 125 limitation that we're allowed on the discrepancy side. We will go ahead and check that during the flight tests that are required when you're fitting a transponder to an aircraft. So this is low altitude, 0 feet. You can then recalibrate if you're flying above flight level 100, which we're not, or flight level 200 again, which is doubtful, and flight level 300, well, one day maybe. This is when it's then giving us the reported pressure altitude, so we'll go ahead and confirm that. Then we're getting the information here. You can see we're getting some up and down times, which is useful should you need a conversation with Trig or a service report. And then it's simple, configuration complete. You can now switch off the unit. So we turn off the unit, and that's our transponder setup. Takes 5-10 minutes just to go through. But if you do need to get in there, make sure you're pressing in the function button as you rotate the pot, and you can always get back into that menu so that you can recalibrate the altimeter. So we drilled the 3 holes for the antenna. So this side is having the 2 for the pilot aware, and the other side is just 1 for the transponder. The pilot aware aerials are on specific frequencies. So I've got the 1090. So what I'm going to do is when I fit these, I'm going to mark up to make sure they're written with the right frequencies. I've already done that on the cable side of things, so that when we connect them up, we make sure that the right antenna is connected to the right side of the rosetta. I'm going to pop that in there.
We then also have a grip washer or crush washer and a nut, but because this is going in a area that we don't want it to be moving around, I'm just going to drop on a very tight, a little bit of Loctite just to give it a bit more of a seal. Now if you look on the other side of this area is also keywayed, so one spanner on that side, and again just feeling that so its finger will never work on a boat.
Oh wow.
One side, on the other.
Beautiful. Oh, I see, yeah, and you've got the signals, frequencies on the inside. Brilliant. And the right arrows in the right holes.
Yeah.
No, nice.
Yeah.
Lovely jubbly.
You'd never
It's not a
look,
picture.
you'd never measure from one side to the other, but
But
they have to be
They've got
they
to be
have
right.
to be right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to the radio. The radio, again, for me, is very, very simple to use. You have these very easy to use rotary pots. Again, you have 3 soft keys for varying uses. This is the main volume switch that's over there, so this will control everything that you're hearing. I think that's great. I have other radio systems where you have to press a button and go into, and really all I want to do is just turn it up or down a little bit. So I like that there is one volume switch. You're able to get into the sub-menu of this quite easily. So on this side we have a monitor soft key, and this side we have a mem soft key. So we would hold in the monitor button for about 2 seconds, and then this is where it's going to bring in the intercom volume. Very, very self-explanatory. This is where we're going to set the volume for our intercom. We're going to use these 2 pots here, so it's a 2-part pot, so then we can rotate that now to intercom squelch. Again, this will need setting up depending on the headsets that you're using. When we set this, we had a Bose on P2 and we had a Micro Avionics on P1, and it was quite noticeable, the difference, but again, because we were able to get into the menu easily enough, we were able to make adjustments so that, you know, it's really, really nice clarity. So intercom squelch is there. Next is the aux-in volume. If you're running some form of tablet or pilot aware or anything that's giving you any form of audio, this will be plumbed straight into the intercom system within the Trig unit, and that will come into your ears so that you're able to control that level. Next one along is aux muting. I personally leave this on because you don't want halfway through receiving a radio message from ATC to get some form of audio warning, or if it's your phone, to be told that you've had a text message. So I leave that on, aux muting. Side tone volume, so this is going to alter the volume level when you're transmitting on the radio. This is the one that a lot of people miss out on. So if you're getting a fair amount of feedback, or when you're hearing it's quite, well, we call it microphonic, where it's on that verge of feeding back, it sounds like you're talking in a glass cave. This is the one where you'd want to sort of tweak that down a little bit to try and stop the microphone from picking up what's coming through your ears. And like I say, you can just get in there, make some tweaks. Side tone volume is there. Radio squelch, self-explanatory. Next one is enable 8.33. Well, that's why we bought it, so we definitely want to enable that. You can switch it off, but again, why would you do so? Brightness, this is a nice feature, particularly if you're flying in varying lights. You can alter the brightness of this quite significantly there. So let's bring that back down to a brightness that we can see. And then back to intercom volume. There is also a sub-menu in this, and I use this quite a lot, mainly on the initial setup. So once you're in the main menu, the mem button, depress that for 3 seconds, and that will bring up a second menu. So if you can see this here, this will give you all of the previous menu items, but with the additional of mic 1 gain and mic 2 gain. So if you look here, this is the difference between the two headsets that we were using. So mic 1 was the Micro Avionics,
Mic 2 was the Bose unit. So we just played with those just to tweak those so that they were better. And then again, it will then come into intercom volume. Once you're happy with that, you can click the monitor button and it will take you back to your main screen. Very, very, very easy to set up.
And that's it. That was our Trig install in the Eurostar EV97. Some fantastic products from Trig, made life a lot easier, and hopefully the customer's going to have many years of use flying around with his new tricky system. Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to leave any comments in the comment section below. Please feel free to subscribe to our channel if you would like to receive any notifications. Don't forget to click the notification button at the bottom. And until next week, guys, thanks ever so much for watching. We really, really do appreciate it.